Welcome back to the final part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime Part 6. This one talk about the three films, Pyramid of Light, Bonds Beyond Time, and Dark Side Dimensions. First up, now I forgot to mention this, there was a film called Yu-Gi-Oh! The Movie released in 1999. I've never seen this film. Look at 30 minutes. I just haven't seen it yet, so I don't have any opinion. I'm going to talk about the three films that have been released. Here anyways, dubbed. First up, Pyramid of Light. For some reason, when they did this movie in Dark Side Dimensions, they for some reason used the actual real life Duel Monster cards instead of using the version of cards they used in the show. They used the real life ones as part of the film, and there was new card introduced as sort of promote this film, the Blue-Eye Shining White Dragon, and apparently this thing was powered up to take on the Egyptian God cards. Now, this movie was released, believe it or not, just before the end of Season 3 of Yu-Gi-Oh! For some reason. I have no idea why. And there's references like, oh, Yugi and Kaiba have had many different rematches since the end of the Battle State tournament. And, of course, I mentioned Yugi had won, which I thought was kind of stupid they spoiled it. But at least they spoiled how he won it. And the main villain of this thing, who had been kind of controlling Kaiba throughout most of the whole entire film, turns out there's a guy named Anubis, and up until the end of the Millennium World, this film wasn't the canon. And I don't want to spoil it too much of this film, but it is such a great film to watch, great animation, and it's done. And basically, this duel is done in a Kaiba Dome. Unlike in the next two movies, where it's a bit more of a bigger scale, this one's a bit more smaller scale, but it's a great film. And the film itself is only just, let's see, Pyramid of Light is, let's see, it is roughly 89 minutes. That's all we see. Apparently there was about 12 minutes cut. I don't know what was cut in the sub from the sub version. I don't really know why. But yeah, this film was great. No really big problem with it. Though the film was deemed non-canon due to Millennium World. Alright, next up is... I have it here. Next film is... this film, Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Time. A crossover film of the first three Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, where Yugi teams up with Jaden Yugi and Yusei Fudo. Yep. And the main villain is this guy right here. Paradox. This is unrelated to the Paradox Brothers from the show. This film is actually the shortest of all three films. It's only 50 minutes. Despite that, this film is awesome. And it's great to see that Yusei basically is sort of the instigator of this time travel stuff, and and the whole thing with the whole Cinder stuff, the Crimson Dragon stuff. The tattoo gets transferred to his back. Yeah, this happens a couple times throughout 5Ds. And he goes to the past via his motorcycle, meets up with Jaden Yugi, who apparently is in Europe. I didn't watch the finale of the show. Basically, from his perspective, the show had already ended for Jaden Yugi. I think this took place during Season 4. Yeah, during Season 4. From Yugi's perspective, I'd say probably after Battle City, maybe. That's a possibility, but they never specifically say exactly when, from his perspective, does this film take place. From Jaden Yugi's perspective, it's right after GX ended. Him, it's probably during Season 4 of the show. And as for Yugi, my personal guess, it's probably after Battle City. Because he's in Domino City, and for some reason Pegasus is there. He apparently gets killed off pretty early on, though they do fight him. They do fight Paradox, who decided to sort of go back in time to kill Pegasus because apparently Duel Monsters doom his future. For some reason, that's not really explained. But the duel itself they do in the film is really good. Despite the short length of this film, it is awesome film. And the fact that one thing I praise about this one film, because I think this was dubbed by 4Kids, they actually bring in the dub actors from all three shows for these characters and their supporting. Well, Jaden's supporting cast is surprisingly not seeing this film at all, which is odd. And yet, Yusei's supporting cast, they're seen in this film. They're seen at the beginning. They're seen like 3 times. Basically, yeah, they bring a good chunk of a supporting cast into this film. They're seen. They don't do very much, but at least they're seen. And Yugi's supporting cast is surprisingly also absent for this movie, which out of the 3 films makes it the only one where Yugi's supporting cast does not physically appear. Well, Max Pegasus appears, but no one else does. But this film is awesome. I give this film a 9 out of 10. Pyramid of Light, I give that one a 9 out of 10. Alright, next up is the longest film of the series, Dark Side of Dimensions. Released just this year, surprisingly. Yeah, this was the 3rd film released, and it's 2 hours long. Yeah, surprisingly it is. Yeah, well, from the version it was like 2 hours. This film is like 2 hours and 11 minutes. Which makes it the longest film of the entire franchise. Basically, this could easily be like a full, like half a season of the show. Now, this takes place 1 year after the show concluded. And basically, Kaiba is basically in the tomb looking for the Millennium Puzzle. Because for some reason, he's in magic, and even though he constantly was sort of dissing it throughout most of the show. And he basically finds the Millennium Puzzle. He basically assembles all the pieces but one, and does this character introduces this film, and he uses a special duel cube thing to duel Kaiba, and Kaiba sort of gets out of the duel by somehow summoning Obelisk the Tormentor. Yeah, he just stamps his hand on the ground, and you're like, oh yeah, I summoned Obelisk the Tormentor, even though he doesn't have it in his deck, and somehow he gets away from with most of the Millennium Puzzles except for like one piece. And also, apparently since the show, Kaiba's stock must have skyrocketed beyond the planet because he owns his own NASA. He has a freaking space station that apparently he can get to via an elevator. I'm not kidding. There's an elevator that connects from an island on Earth. And he gets this space station, and he assembles the Millennium Puzzle all but like a couple pieces. Yeah, all but 2 pieces. And one of the pieces is given to Yugi. And I'm kind of like, okay, Kaiba has a space station, and this space station is only seen on screen for about 10 minutes. Yeah. It would have been interesting if they had a fight on the space station, but nope, my guess is there wasn't time for that. Of course, also, it's kind of heavily implied that because, well, the characters getting close to graduation, that apparently Yugi and Tei are apparently dating. It's implied that they are. They're not officially stated for it. Of course, at the end of the film, they do have the graduation ceremony. And, of course, Tei goes off to New York to become a ballet dancer, which I'm sure Yugi does support that. He has no problem with the fact she wants to become a ballet dancer. Tristan, I don't know what the heck he's going to do. And, of course, Joey's going to become a professional duelist, just like Yugi's going to do. And they also somehow get the Millennium Ring back. Now, they do give... This one thing I do praise this film for, it does sort of expand upon Pakura's backstory of how he got the Millennium Ring in the first place, which that was great. It shows his father, which they reference that in the show. Somehow he got the tomb, got the Millennium Ring, and somehow the guy who now they say spirit and the Millennium Ring, and of course the spirit itself possesses like the characters he uses in the movie, and here's kind of the strange thing about it. They don't specifically state if this is Zork or not. Ibukuro himself does not make a physical appearance in this movie. As a matter of fact, there are several characters from the show who do not make an appearance in the movie. Aside from the main 4 Yugi gang, and of course Kaya Mokuba, Duke definitely shows up in the film. And so does, well, Bakura, obviously. And that's it. No Mai, no Weevil, no Rex. Nobody else. Also, the writers of the film write Kaiba to be the Yu-Gi-Oh version of Lex Luthor, where he says, "I know everything that happens in Domino." Yeah, and he kind of acts like Lex Luthor, except for having hair. Excuse me. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions is a great film, despite sort of disappointing thing where Tim shows up for a couple minutes, summons a card version of Preseto to take out the monster who possesses the character. the new character introduces him. Also, they give a backstory on Shadi, which I thought was really great, of how he was before he died. Apparently part of this cult stuff that was introduced in this very film. So yeah, this film was good. I don't want to spoil too much this film, but a lot happens over the course of 2 hours and 11 minutes. It's a long movie. But the film is great. Not many major problems with it overall. The only big problem I have with it is that there's a lot of characters in the show not in the film, and they're never explained exactly where they are. Like, Mai is absent from the film for no explained reason. It would have been nice to see Weevil and Rex. Also, Joey is... Now, there's apparently a tournament happening in the movie, and the winner gets a piece of Millennium Puzzle. Yeah, apparently Kaiba runs his third tournament in the movie for no explained reason. I don't know why. Well, he wants to get a piece of Millennium Puzzle, and apparently there's this girl who gets close to Yugi to drop up with this piece, and she's implied to be the new character's sort of sister, and it's stated that they're kind of like brother and sister. Implied they may have a thing for each other. It's a bit bizarre. Maybe they're raised up together. I don't know. It's not really well explained when it comes to them. But my overall really problems is missing characters from the show. There's a lot of them not featured in the film. Some of the new characters introduced in the film are not fully fleshed out. Let's see. Also, the film kind of ends not only with the graduation, but also Kaiba going to the Afterlife to fight Atem. I know it kind of spoiled the end of the film, but yeah. As for if he finished up his duel with Atem, it just kind of implied. People do think that there could be a follow-up film to this one. I don't know. Because this film was only released in Japan just last year. Here it was only released just this past January. Excuse me. My friend Edgar really wanted to get my thoughts on this film. I initially didn't know much. I kind of saw trailers for this film, but I wanted to watch after I finished watching a particular season of Naruto. So after I finished the season of Naruto, I watched the film, and I really enjoyed it. It was a great film. Also, Kaiba apparently decides to have a new duel system, where apparently it's hooked to his DNA. And the duelist, so attached to his arm, basically, it's kind of like part of his arm for some reason. Oh yeah, he does wear his outfit from the show, which is great. I thought that the new DNA duel thing, I thought that was interesting. Cool for the film, and I love the fact they do a great rendition of Kaiba, of a hologram version of Yugi. And of course, they still keep Kaiba being a dick like usual. Like, oh, I'm smart enough to do all this. Yeah, I get the fact you own a company, but it's never stated in the show or the manga that you're a freaking scientist, Kaiba. Yeah. But it's like, whoever made this film must be a huge fan of Lex Luthor from DC Comics, and made Kaiba to be almost a carbon copy of Lex Luthor. Except he's not plotting to take over the world or kill Yugi or in any way, shape, or form. It just basically, it's like he adapted the mannerisms of Lex Luthor and his personality, him being a dick a lot of the time. I don't have a really big problem with that because he owns a company and he does basically control a lot of Domino City, which is fine. But you gotta be like sort of forthright with it. I know the whole thing with Tim showing up basically was a bit disappointing because shows up for like a minute, beats the guy, and that's it. And as for the Millennium Puzzle itself, goes back with the guy, goes back home to Egypt somehow. It's explained he gets to the place via portals, via his dueling cube that he has. They introduced a new style of dueling in this film, which has never been seen in the show before. Interesting style, but yeah. So overall, it was an awesome film. Overall, and I give the film a 9.5 out of 10. And it was a great finale for the actual show itself, because if you finish watching it, kind of like you could tell a little more story. This film basically fulfilled that wish, though for a lot of people, because the film did so well, there might be a possibility if there really is a follow-up to this. I don't know where you can. The only way you can go from here is that basically you can have it where have a movie where it starts off where after Taya graduates from dance school, where Yugi goes to one of Teia's dance recitals and basically just sees her basically practice ballet and seeing Joey and Yugi just going on the dueling circuit. Of course, making money, obviously. As for what Triss is going to do, it's never really stated exactly what he's going to do. My personal theory is that he's probably going to be Joey's manager. That's just my theory on the matter. He's probably going to pal around with Joey and Yugi, with Yugi and Joey while they're basically becoming champion duelists. Okay, so that's it for this part, and that's it for the series. As what series I'm going to start next, I'm going to soon do reviews for Death Note, but I want to watch the series first. I'm going to watch that series next. But I'm still going to get done the OVAs, the shorts, and the films for One Piece. I'm working on those right now. I'm going to work on that next as soon as I will put up these videos anyway. Otherwise, though, these 3 films were all really good. My only complaint for the second film was too short, only 50 minutes. I kind of wish it was a little bit longer than that, but we got what it was good enough for what it was. But for Dark Side Dimensions, for an movie. Now, prior to seeing this movie, I have never seen one that's been more than. This one's some have been close to 2 hours long. This one is over 2 hours. This one's 2 hours and 11 minutes, which overall makes it the longest anime movie I have ever watched. No cartoon movie has ever been. Well, the only one that's been the closest is Batman Dark Knight Returns Deluxe Edition, which is this one's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Excuse me. But a film that comes straight from Japan, none of them have ever been this length. Never. Okay? So, until I see you all in my next video, bye.